if you're a Michigan fan, by the way, like just give credit to Ohio State, okay? They dominated you, they beat you, straight up. Any Michigan fan saying, well, that would change the outcome of the game. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Some teams just need to learn how to lose, and Michigan didn't do a great job at it. They can defend the whole alphabet. I don't care if they defend the M.
How did Michigan not do a great job of it, though?
A perfect example of they can dish it out but can't take it.
Life is pain and sports are fun.
I love it all.
Man, I have not had to do one of these.
It's nice to be on the other side.
In 6 years. You weren't even on the podcast yet.
It's the first one since joining.
It was like season 2 where I had to do this with shout out Mitchell Wilson.
Why did you point over there?
I don't know. I imagine. You know how like
said it's ghost?
You know how like sometimes like people are like, oh yeah, like we've put out a seat for Jesus at Christmas sort of thing. Do people do that?
We set up a niche for the game.
Anyway, it's fine. I haven't had to do one of these in a while, okay? And I don't really want to be here.
We can tell.
Oh, I thought about texting you for some tips because you've had a lot of experience. But here we go. This is your day. It's the Rivalry Podcast. My name is Jace. That's Mr. JP. It's Michigan and Ohio State, the greatest rivalry, not just in college football, but in all of sports. From River Radio Ministries, presented by our friends at Elevated Integrity Construction. Now, typically, we would start with a little bit of a wheel route question here. Is that where you want to start today? Do you want to start with the greater landscape of college football, i.e. Lane Kiffin to LSU, or do you want to just jump right in?
Let's jump right in a little bit.
Okay.
I was at the game in Ann Arbor this past Saturday. First time being there for that game. First time being pressed for that game. Normally, I'm on-field credential, getting photos,
Which aren't you videos. Lucky you weren't this week with how bad that snowstorm was?
Kind of, but then I missed out on making snow angels with Ohio State at the end, which would have been really awesome.
I hate this.
And so it was my first time getting to kind of take all that in and getting to take in, like I've been to Columbus, I've been to the Shoe when Ohio State's played that team up north. And so this is my first time going and actually taking it in from the opposing viewpoint. And it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the result, obviously.
The result, obviously, the cherry on top. But, I mean, just the whole experience. It was exactly what you would want as a football fan. The teams hate each other and let each other know it. Where I parked was like a good 1.5 mile walk to the stadium. So you're walking by all the tailgates. You're walking with a mixture of Buckeyes, a mixture of Michigan fans, all jabbing at each other. And just the energy was there the second I parked my car.
Yeah.
You get into the stadium and I'm sitting in between an obvious group of Michigan reporters. Don't know where they were from, who they were affiliated with, anything like that. But they were very clearly there to support the Wolverines. And they had no idea who I was there because as much as I am an Ohio State fan, I am a professional.
Yeah.
And so I don't like go into the press box repping scarlet and gray and like doing anything like that. We got our rival
pod polos and stuff like that. I mean, we're there to, you're a fan, but you're there to work.
100%. Yeah. And while we've joked numerous times on this podcast, like we brought up the Cade Stover Penn State thing, I am not sitting back there like screaming my head off, yelling. I might like fist bump or something off
just
on
quietly
the
under the table.
Like I'll talk under my breath. I'll do stuff like that. But watching them try to like talk at the beginning and leading up to the game about Michigan to me, not knowing who I root for, and then slowly seeing that just go away throughout the game was just, so sweet. But being able to take that game in with the weather conditions, what they were, where it's kind of a light snow throughout the game, towards the end started really coming down a little bit. The level of play I still thought, as lopsided as the final score ended up being, what felt like a gritty match for the most part. It was just awesome. I mean, the outcome, obviously, the cherry on top. What was funny, and we talked about this a little bit before, was driving home. Normally, I mean, you and I have rode up to the big house together.
It's about it's 3 hours from Columbus proper, which is where our studio is.
Yeah. It takes me about like a little over 2 hours from my house. Took me about 4.5 hours to get home.
That's because the weather was
not
just
even
so
because
crazy.
of traffic. I was out of stadium traffic probably a half hour and back on the highway going like steady pace the whole night.
Which is, by the way, is insane because
miracle.
Again, small college town is not really built for 111,000 people.
And
it's
it
crazy.
was a huge crowd, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, taking that in, getting home at 9:30 at night. I left my house at 7 in the morning. Was just crazy. Wouldn't have traded it for anything, though. When I was stuck in the snowstorm, maybe would have said some other things. But yeah, there was a guy, on the sidewalk, he was playing a bagpipe, and he was for Ohio State. Have you seen that video? Awesome. So
that's
cool.
Great. That's
we
great,
can't recite what song he was saying, but it was about how much he does not care about the state of Michigan.
How many cares does he give, JP?
Not a darn.
Not a darn.
Not a darn.
I've heard that song.
Yeah, it's a bop, as the kids would say.
The reality is that, obviously, we'll get into the nitty gritty of the game. Obviously, I'm bitterly disappointed about the result of this game.
I love
You're
that for
ecstatic. But there is something to be said about, you do have to, as a college football fan, kind of remove your fandom for a minute and look at that game and go, that is college football. The snow, the hatred, the atmosphere, and even again, this is why we love college ball, even if it didn't go your way this weekend, that the rise and fall of the emotions, the celebration, everything about that game, just as much as I hated it, everything about that game objectively is what's great about college football.
And I think what makes it so good, and then we can move on to wheel route, is that there's still, even despite all of that, there's still a level of respect. Nothing. I think so. Yeah, it's healthy. Yeah. It's not a bow down to you, I respect you kind of a thing. It's a, you are who you are. We are who we are. We don't like you, and that's fine.
Yeah. It's a. So I wasn't planning to use this example, but it's just coming to mind here. So I promise this connects in my home, when we're celebrating Advent, we do Advent candles every night. Last night, we recorded Monday morning, so last night was first Sunday of Advent, so we light the Advent candle, and my 6-year-old starts reaching his finger out to touch it. I'm like, my guy, this is real. We've got the little flameless candle. I'm like, this is fire. Don't touch, you don't have to be afraid, but you have to respect it. You have to it has its place. You respect it. It can burn you. You don't have to be afraid of it, but you can respect it. That's what this rivalry is at its best. It's heated. See, more fire analogies.
There you go.
But you respect it. There's deep hatred, but you respect it, right? And you even look back at the 10-year war in Woody and Bo. Why was that so contentious? Well, it's not because Woody and Bo necessarily hated each other. They were actually fairly close, but they stoked the fire of that rivalry so much, and the fans hate each other. I do think that in a healthy way, there is, at its best, there is still that respect there. It's why we can be good friends and absolutely hate each other's guts and not text each other all Saturday.
100%.
Anyway, it's good. We'll get into the game there. But first, we want to jump into wheel route here, presented by our friends at the Ohio Sinus Institute, and talk about the most bizarre
the bombshell that is
coaching
Lane
experience. Kiffin. The wild, wild world of Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, I feel like
because we even coming off the game, we have to talk about this.
Well, and it wasn't even like this was a surprising move. I think every single person already knew that this was a done deal. But there's just so much to it that I have questions on. And one thing that I actually really, really love, that I don't feel like a lot of people would have done it this way. But obviously, reports have come out, Lane Kiffin going to be the head coach at LSU. That broke yesterday. I forget what time. It was sometime in the morning. Lane Kiffin tweeted out his whole response. In that, he said that he requested to be able to finish out the year at Ole Miss. They are currently, and probably they're going to make the playoffs. They're 11-1, their best season in a really long time, if ever. A historic season for them. A lot of high expectations. And the athletic director said, nah, you're done.
Which is absolutely correct.
Facts.
100%. Why would you let him hang around and poach coaching staff and tamper with players?
100%.
Even if it's not tampering, it'd be like Sherrone Moore going to Michigan State, which congrats to them for firing Jonathan Smith after one Big Ten win in his career. It'd be like Sherrone Moore going to Michigan State and Ward Manuel goes, well, you could coach in the bowl game. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're going to let that man around Bryce Underwood and try and get him to, it's a nonsensical ask by Lane Kiffin, but nothing about Lane Kiffin makes sense.
No, I don't understand the timing of really a lot of this, because there's still so much for that team to play for. I don't know why there was such a rush to get the ink dried on this yet. It felt like if Lane agreed to go to LSU knew that he was going to go. He verbally commits, whatever, and then says, but my thing is I've got to be able to stay through the end of this year. As shady as it is, Ole Miss doesn't have to know a single ounce of that.
And I think Ole Miss is why the ink had to dry on this fast because they demanded an answer. And I think if it were up to Lane, he would have played his cards. And, even this whole, well, I've got to just make a hard decision. I've got to pray about it. I've got to think about it. I'm like, no, what you're doing is you're trying to poach coaching staff right now and trying to drag this thing out. I don't believe that he hadn't made up his mind for a second.
Sure. No, no way.
Like I did initially, and then hearing that, well, he's trying to kind of like poach coaches. I'm like, no, he's absolutely knew what he was going to do. I think Ole Miss said, we're not going to let that happen. So you need to just like figure it out now. Yeah. And I think they were more than gracious letting him do the Egg Bowl, get through that. And the players on Ole Miss, I mean, understandably so. There's a point in which I understand for Lane Kiffin. You have to make the move that you feel like is going to be best for you, for your family, for whatever. I, in one sense, don't begrudge that. But I also, if I'm Trinidad Chambliss or I'm one of these Ole Miss players, that's the only Ole Miss player I know. If I'm one of the Ole Miss players, you understand the frustration. Your coach just quit on you. Best season in Ole Miss history, your coach just quit. And if you think that doesn't light a fire under Ole Miss that they didn't already have, Ole Miss just became an even more difficult out than they were already going to be.
100%.
By the way, in case you were curious, LSU goes to Ole Miss next year. The game's in Oxford.
Whatever day that lands on.
Circle it.
Do not have a wedding that day. Don't invite me to anything that day.
Just go ahead and cancel all plans for 2026 until we know what day that game is.
Basically the middle of September until the end of January. Don't invite me to stuff on a Saturday. I just ain't going to be there.
This should not be new information.
I actually love what Ole Miss did, though, by playing that hand, because I feel like that's not the norm, and it should be. Because a lot of people, I saw this all over social media, where people were kind of half and half on this was the right call, they should have played their hand, and then the other side that are idiots and were saying they should have just let him finish out the year, now we're screwed, all that. I like that they played the hand of, we already know what you're doing, we're not going to let you completely leave us a dumpster fire, so just go on ahead and get. And I love that. I feel like you don't see that kind of a backbone in college football now, where the big names are the ones that get to be the decision makers, that get to hold all the weight. Ole Miss took the reins back a little bit and said, yeah, we've got a game plan. And you saw that because the same day they end up promoting the defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, to the head coach position. Not even like an interim thing.
Yeah, just say, this is the guy.
Handed right over. Programs don't just do that on a whim. This is something they had thought long and hard about when Lane Kiffin goes, which was probably inevitable anyways at some point. They had a game plan ready. They had been thinking through this. I understand Lane Kiffin leaving. LSU, I think, by name alone, is a bigger program. It's not even close.
It's probably the top job in college football.
I don't even know if it's
close. One of the top three.
I don't even know if it's close. It's the top job in college football.
It's the top opening right now, for
top
sure.
opening. The NIL deal that LSU is going to be able to bring in to help him get players there. You're playing in the SEC still. I mean, it checks all the boxes for a guy wanting to be an elite level coach. Checks all the boxes. But yeah, Lane Kiffin, no longer the coach at Ole Miss, going to LSU, will not be coaching the Rebels throughout the rest of the season, and we'll see where that goes.
Was the official statement from Ole Miss, go on now and get?
I hope.
I really, like, I want one of those, graphics where it's like the official statement, go on now and get, and it's just a sign, by whoever the AD is.
Oh, man. The first playoff game is going to hit so hard when the amount of signs that.
Oh, my gosh.
Just through
because
the roof.
Ole Miss is going to the playoff. They're not going to get the bye. They're going to get a home game. In all likelihood. In all likelihood, Ole Miss is going to get a home playoff game. That place is going to be rocking. And I'll be honest, that's one place you don't want to go. You do not want to go on the road to Oxford right now.
Lane Kiffin will be watching the playoffs at home.
There you go. Got him. All right. Let's talk about this game.
Please.
I mean, I'm gonna let you start here. I'm gonna let you kind of drive this thing. Obviously, I've got a ton that I want to get to as well. But I mean, let's just chat about this. This was, in some senses, the easiest podcast to prep for, because I just wrote down every complaint that I had over 3.5 hours, and screamed into the void and just said, sometimes when you scream into the void, you just need to turn on the voice memo app on your phone,
100%,
and that way you can go back and go, oh, wow. Oh, no, I can't use that one. Oh, yeah, that was good. That's what we're at.
Yeah, I think when you start to talk about this game, one of the first things that I thought of immediately was that a lot of people in our YouTube comments owe me an apology this season, because there were a ton, and I mean a ton of people all season long, whenever we talked about Michigan, whenever I talked about Bryce Underwood, that gave me crap for it, that said that I was being too harsh, that said that I was a dope in a red hat or whatever they said. And
it's good that you didn't let that get to you.
I wasn't wrong about a single thing I've said all season when it comes to this team. It's a team that relied heavy on the run. And granted, they had some injuries in this game. Justice Haynes didn't play at all. Marshall went down for a little bit. He came back and returned. But even outside of his initial run on the first play, didn't really do anything. Now, granted, some of that probably was still the injury, but still didn't do anything. Last week when we talked about this game, I explicitly said you can allow Michigan to have some success on the ground. You just can't allow them to completely dominate it.
Yeah.
And I would say Michigan was okay. I mean, they had 100 yards on the ground. That wasn't a bad day. It's not Michigan's level, but it wasn't a bad day.
And I think you're exactly right too. Where Jordan Marshall clearly wasn't healthy.
No.
And you can get into, and we'll maybe get into this. You can get into the, well, if he had been healthy, would that have changed? It's impossible to say because it's a completely different game.
Yeah.
There's no way to tell because there's no way to tell what that game flow looks like. When he rips off that opening run, I thought, okay, here we go. And just that you could tell it wasn't as bad as Blake Corum trying to go in 22, obviously, where it was a snap and he just couldn't do it. But I mean, as much as I love Bryson Cusdall, I mean, your third string running back is just not going to have the same juice as your,
and he had some good plays, but
as overall, having Justice Haynes or Jordan Marshall healthy.
No, and I don't think that would have changed the outcome. But it would have helped. But there were some things in this game that impressed me, and we talked about this last week too. And I've talked about it. If you're new here, you can go back and look at years past post and prior to this game
at Rival Pod on social media and YouTube. By the way,
when we talked about Ryan Day, and this goes back to maybe even my first year on the podcast, I talked about how the mentality with Ryan Day in big games was he crumbled under the pressure. He outthought himself. He got in his own head. He made decisions that weren't gutsy when he needed to be. And I said last year after this game was a pivotal point in his career. He had a fork in the road. He could continue along the same path, or he could go and he could clean things up and he could finally learn his lesson. And he did last year. And he's done it all this year, where I felt like that focus, that insanity that kind of drives the coaches that we know that are great. I mean, you saw some of that with Harbaugh. You saw that with Moore, his first year coaching. I think when he was an interim still, for Michigan. That fire, the okay, I know who we are, stop it mentality. And I thought you saw that. I questioned it a little bit of what would happen with this game, because I felt like, yes, he got it under control after the loss last year, got it under control, obviously, for the playoffs, had it under control this whole season. What would it look like when he had to revisit that demon? None of those, even a national champion, none of those are the game. No. And I thought there were pivotal moments in this game where he did that. And I thought there were some moments where he didn't that I wish he had. But I wrote this down, a different Ryan Day. It was in the first quarter, and he declined a penalty. It was a holding penalty on Michigan that would have set up a 2nd and 15. And instead he declined it to make it a 3rd and 5. The amount of disrespect, not only for Michigan, but for Bryce Underwood to go, I don't think you can get 5 yards on us.
I thought that was a great call, by the way.
And it was, because Michigan did not get 5 yards and punted it.
It initially, they hadn't said that it was declined initially. And I looked at my wife and I said, I think I'll take 2nd and 15 here. I said that. Like, that's not, so it's not even a disrespect thing. It's a look at the way that if you feel like you are winning in the trenches, why would you give him an extra shot there, right? Why would you give him a chance to draw pass interference from Oleg Benosin over there or whatever? Like, okay, 3rd and 5 is still, it's 3rd and long, 3rd and medium. You probably take your chances there with that defense.
And you had another circumstance where it was on Ohio State's first touchdown of the day, where it was 4th and 5. I mean, this isn't a 4th and 1, 4th and inches type deal. This is 4th and 5. And they not only decide to go for it, but they throw a deep ball.
The shot,
it's a 35-yard shot to Jeremiah Smith for a touchdown, which I know we'll have different opinions on.
Sure.
Then I think second drive of the game, it's 4th and 1, and if they hadn't gotten a penalty that pushed him back to 4th and 6, Ryan Day's going for it. Kienholz was getting ready to walk out onto the field for that. Those are decisions that in years past, Ryan Day would have taken the 2nd and 15. Ryan Day would have kicked a field goal on 4th and 5 to make it 9-6. Ryan Day would have still kicked a field goal on 4th and 1 from the 1. He would have played so conservative in a game where conservativeness doesn't win you the game.
I will say on the 4th and 5, I think they were out of field goal range for fielding. If I remember correctly, I think they were, because so it wasn't.
I mean, they were at the 35. It would have been a lengthy one, but
it wasn't so much that they were in that in between where it's a very long field goal, but it's almost too close to punt. So I wasn't shocked that they went for it. I don't even know if that was the gutsiness. I think the gutsiness was the play
for
call.
Sure,
and it was reminiscent of the play against Notre Dame, where they took the shot to Jeremiah down deep. It was based, I don't know if it was the same play or not, right? This isn't an X's and O's podcast, but it was that same mentality. That I think was the gutsy part of that more so than the going for it. And yeah, I mean, the whole narrative last year was, why don't you utilize your stars? Well, go to your guys. And he showed a lot of growth in that way, I can say objectively, by saying, I trust my guy. With good reason, because he's the best wide receiver in the country,
and one of the most accurate passer in the game right now.
That play call makes total sense.
There were some key things that I wanted to bring up from both sides of stuff, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah.
We talked about it last week of having that back-to-back UCLA and Rutgers game as being really beneficial to Bo Jackson to get that confidence going, and I thought it showed. He had 166 total yards, $117 on the ground, 5.3 yards per carry, almost 50 yards receiving, a difference maker. I tweeted it out during the game that this game always brings somebody's name to rise. Bo Jackson was that guy.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people, and I saw a lot of Michigan fans that were watching this going, who is 25?
Yeah, because understandably they're not obsessed the way that we are.
Yeah, you and I watch it, so us knowing players from the opposing teams, whatever, but a lot of people surprised at who Bo Jackson was, and they sure found out. Julian Sain, I thought his composure in this game was phenomenal. After he threw that first interception, which I thought was just an awful read. I don't understand what he saw. A bad throw, one of his rare bad throws of the season. All the momentum on Michigan's side, and then he just dominated. It looked like it didn't even faze him. I mean, 19 of 26, 233, 3 touchdowns, and then 1 interception. Yeah. The guy, and I would argue Ohio State left a handful of points on the board. I think that 4th and 1, despite a penalty to push him back, I feel like they would have gone for it. Then you had another circumstance where it was like 4th down or something late in the game, and they decided to punt it there. There was also another key drop from Claire, which he's had a handful of this year, that ended up killing a drive for them. But Julian Sain's composure impressed me. To me, that was the most Heisman game of the season for him. I felt like with all the adversity, and I heard people talking about this leaving the stadium. I don't remember which broadcast I was listening to, but they said the talk with Ohio State all season was that they had never faced adversity. And they faced it in this one.
Yep.
I mean, not by a huge margin. It was early in the game, so they could correct those mistakes. But you go down, very first play, Michigan rips off a 35-yard run by Jordan Marshall. The crowd is immediately into it, as if they already weren't.
Right.
They get a field goal to go up 3-0. The pressure's on you to kind of go back and get on the attack. Second play of the game, you get an interception, set Michigan back up, they get another 3. All the momentum is against you. It would be easy for a first-year starter to come out there and be a little bit rattled, especially given the conditions, the crowd, the energy, all of that. Michigan defense hyped up. And after that, it just didn't look like anything fazed him. Ohio State's offensive line, huge credit to them, 0 sacks allowed.
Yep.
Julian Sain had all day.
Yep.
All day long. The Ohio State defense allowed 163 total yards, 63 passing yards, 100 rushing yards, held Michigan to 1 of 9 on 3rd down.
And I think that's going to be the easy one to circle in one sense is 3rd down, right? I mean, Michigan was like 12 for 14 against Maryland, and like you just said, 1 for 9 on offense. And Ohio State converted a bunch of 3rd downs, and there were these easy little not dump off pass, but like these really short, settle down. Yeah. And that burned Michigan time and time again. Michigan had multiple opportunities to get Ohio State off the field and really just couldn't do much with it. I mean, on the Michigan side, I'm I don't even know where to start here. I guess I'll even start on the defense while we're talking about that. I mean, I I didn't think overall, stats are stats, as we like to say around here.
Stats are stats.
I didn't think overall that the secondary for Michigan played poorly. They gave up 2 chunk plays, right? They gave up the Jeremiah Smith and the Carnell Tate. I didn't think that overall. I thought they did a decent job at keeping things in front of them. I thought they limited the chunk plays overall. What killed Michigan in this game was, you already alluded to it, there was no pressure on Sayin. And I think that's credit to Ohio State's offensive line for holding up better than I didn't think that Michigan was going to get a ton of pressure, but that had to be the game plan. Julian Sayin is just too darn good for you to let him sit back there and clean pockets. And they got very little, they got some, but very little pressure on him throughout the game, which makes it difficult, by the way, for your secondary to hang with guys over and over and over again. Again, I thought overall they did fine, but you can only do so much. If you've got give a guy like that time to throw, he's going to beat you eventually.
Especially when you're covering, 2 first-round picks. Jeremiah Smith, probably the number 1 overall when he decides to declare after next season. Carnell Tate, probably top 20 for sure, maybe even top 15 guy.
I'd put him top 10.
Another thing that I wanted to talk through just on the Michigan, and then I have a question for you as a Michigan guy, because we briefly talked on this, but I wanted to save it for when we actually got in here. Andrew Marsh, 0 receptions, 0 yards, 0 targets.
Yep.
The biggest question for me, Bryce Underwood in this game.
Yeah.
A guy that I have harped on all season long as a little bit overrated. He's underperformed. He goes 8 of 18 for 63 yards and an interception. Granted, the interception was late into the game,
but
where
still,
you had to throw it. It was still a bad throw.
Stats are stats.
Stats are stats. It was still a bad throw. And you and I kind of had this discussion after the game. We just kind of shared our thoughts back and forth, but tried to save it for this. And you kind of came from the side of you didn't feel like the Michigan coaching staff really put him in a position to succeed. But my question with Bryce Underwood is, at this point in the season, where this was your last game, other than the bowl game. Yeah. At this point in the season, does it concern you at all from either side of things, the coaching staff or Bryce Underwood? Because to me, there's either 2 sides. There's either Bryce Underwood has been underdeveloped and just simply isn't there yet, or this coaching staff is failing him and they need to go. Because I don't think that both can be false. I think at this point, you've seen the tape. I've seen what I've needed to see. I've seen it.
They are who we thought they were.
The stats are the stats, as we say. And to me, given the NIL value that you brought Bryce in at, which was 10 to 12 million, 3-something million a year, whatever. The expectation surrounding this quarterback to come in and perform, the trash talk that he's saying, where he's going up to LeBron James and saying it's over for Ohio State and nobody's seen a freshman like me, to be in this game. And it felt like numerous times this season, this was his stat line. This is one of his worst games, but it's not by far his worst game. It's close. He's had other games with similar stats. So I'm looking at this going, okay, as a Michigan fan, which side are you more concerned with? Are you more concerned with Bryce Underwood's development as a quarterback, because either the coaching staff doesn't believe that he has it and they don't trust him enough to go out there and make those plays, which is what, to your point of saying, well, they just didn't set him up to succeed.
Sure.
Should that concern you at this point in the year, where you're looking at a guy that you're bringing in and paying $3 to $4 million a season to play for you, and the coaching staff doesn't even trust him in the biggest game of the season to go out there and make plays? Or are you looking at him and going, where's the development? This is, we're 12 games into the year, and if I'm being honest, I haven't seen growth. It feels like every week I see he's had games where it's been better. I thought Maryland last week was a good game, but also that's a Maryland team that lost like 7 or 8 in a row. So it's not even a good Maryland team. It's the Maryland team we all thought they were. And so I'm looking at that going, against any ranked opponent that they played, they lost. They didn't beat a ranked opponent. All their good teams they played, they lost. Washington was probably their biggest win.
Are you going to let me answer the question, or are you just going to answer it for me?
No, I want to say my thoughts. Washington was their biggest win, and Washington wasn't that great of a team. And that discredits, I would even say, Ohio State's win against them a little bit. So I'll finally let you answer this. What side is a little more concerning to you? Are you more concerned with Bryce Underwood's ability to get developed by this coaching staff? Or are you more concerned that the coaching staff isn't willing to let go of the reins a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, joking aside, it is a good question. I think that there's probably a little bit of both. I think in reflecting back on it, even since we texted over the weekend, I think there is a little bit of both to this, where I do think that there is some of it that is on Bryce, where I go, man, like you should be able to make your reads better at this point. You should be able to be more accurate with the ball at this point. The fact that you mentioned the Andrew Marsh thing, that to me is the most unforgivable piece of this entire 100%. Game plan. How do you not target, not even have a complete, how do you not target Andrew Marsh? Uh-huh. And so I would say, my guy, you've got to be able to stay in the pocket better. You shouldn't be this skittish at this point. So I do think that there is a healthy amount of responsibility that Bryce Underwood has. I think at the same time, there is a healthy amount where some of it is game plan. You mentioned in every, ranked game that they've played this year, it's felt like the same story over and over again. Now I'll give a little bit of grace in the sense of 2 of those 3 games. Look at who they played. You played number 1 Ohio State undefeated, and you played, at least currently, this is Monday morning, number 8 Oklahoma on the road. Those are 2 incredibly talented teams. Mm-hmm. So I do think you have to take that with a grain of salt, but I also did feel, and I'm glad you mentioned like, hey, this feels like some similar game plan, is I did feel like this was the Oklahoma game plan, which was offensively the worst game plan of the year. Defensively, that would have been USC. But I think offensively, you saw the same kind of handcuffing of Bryce, the fear of, we can't let him make a mistake that costs us the game, which is true, but you can be so conservative that you cost yourself a game. Now, there were about 5 different things that happened in this game for Michigan. You can't say any one of them cost them the game. It's this amalgamation of things. But at halftime, Bryce had thrown 5 passes. Mm-hmm. At halftime, Michigan, I believe, had 4 drives in that half. He'd thrown 5 passes. By the way, he was 3 for 5. So it's not like, oh, he was 1 for 5 and we can't let him throw. He had at least completed them. Mm-hmm. He's 3 for 5 and then finishes at 8 for 18. So there's a sense in which I felt like the game plan was so conservative. And it's a balance of, we can't let him make a mistake because he's extremely green. And also he's not maybe developing as much as we'd like him to be at this point. So we've got to stay conservative. But by doing that, you don't let him develop into, hey, we need you to throw the ball now. You can't just flip that switch and go, yeah, okay, we're down by a lot. You got to throw the ball on Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs now.
I understand the handicap part of it at the beginning of the season. You're getting him adjusted, but being 12 games into the season,
there should be more.
And I think it's obvious. I don't think that's a wrong answer.
There should be more development, and some of that is on Bryce. Some of it is on Chip Lindsey. By the way, I can have those concerns and still feel very confident with both of them. Chip Lindsey doesn't need to go anywhere. I would like to see a better game, for next season. Let's assume he's still the offensive coordinator, because it would make no sense to get rid of him, because most of the year he has rolled out a very good game plan. I've been very pleased with that. In those big moments, I have not liked the conservative nature, but I understand it. On the flip side, I also don't have long-term concerns about Bryce Underwood. That jump from year 1 to year 2 will tell you a lot. And that is probably where the most significant growth for a quarterback is going to come from, is that year. Again, it's not an excuse at this point because you are 12 games in. Sherrone likes to say, hey, they're not freshmen anymore. It's true, but they still are. Mm-hmm. And that jump from, hey, I turned 18 in August and 2.5, 3 months later, I'm starting against Ohio State. Like, that is a real thing. That jump over the offseason to next fall is going to be very telling. I don't have concerns about Bryce. I don't have concerns about Chip in that development. I am still at the same time concerned that I didn't see much growth from game 1 to game 12, while also understanding that growth for quarterbacks is not always linear. So that's not me trying to walk around the answer. That is genuinely my answers. I think there's several different facets at play here. I think anybody that is panicking, if you're a Michigan fan, rival fans are going to, whatever. That's fine. You guys can be panicked about whatever. I had guys.
I would simply love to face him for
after JJ,
2 more seasons. I don't think where he goes. I don't think you should.
See, that's the same. This is the same mentality. When people started saying extend Ryan Day after 2024, I came on the podcast and said, "Be careful what you wish for." Did I not? I think I came on here and said,
I tuned you out.
That's fair. I said, be very, very careful what you wish for, because this was the same thing when it was extend Jim Harbaugh and we saw what happened. Extend Ryan Day. Saw it happen. Don't say, hey, I'd just love to face Bryce Underwood for 2 more years.
I've said this on the podcast. So I say that joking because on this podcast, I've even said, like, he will be fine.
He's going
I've
to be
said that numerous times, but I would stand on the hill that I've been right this whole season about him. He has been a non-factor.
I think you have been more... I think you have been unnecessarily harsh. I think coming off this game, I think you can look at this game, and now that you have a full season, I think you can look at it, and you have probably been more correct than Michigan fans want to admit.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I don't think that if you're a Michigan fan, I'll put it this way, if you're a Michigan fan, there should be no long-term panic about Bryce isn't worth it, and oh my goodness, we don't have dude is going to be a star. You gotta chill. This is a roller coaster starting a true freshman. Same thing with Chip Lindsey. Oh my goodness, what are we? Look at the whole body of work. This guy knows what he's doing. Now, on the other side, let's talk about the Michigan defense real quick. Wink Martindale can go.
You're done?
Oh my goodness, dude, I've been done since last year. I said that Wink bought himself more time with the wins last year. What about this season? And this would be my question for a Michigan fan. What about this season makes you think that Wink Martindale is a good decision to bring back? Nothing. There was no answer for it. Now, again, I will grant you, Ohio State is Ohio State this year, right?
Yeah.
But whether it's USC or Ohio State, the best offenses we face, and on the flip side, I'll give some grace because Michigan's 2 great defenses they played. Michigan's offense struggled. I gave a little bit of grace there. But I've seen this movie with Wink Martindale. I've seen this movie for 2 years now. I'm done watching this film. Wink Martindale always felt like a rental, and I've been very clear about that. Wink Martindale has always felt like a rental. Michigan is going to be in a world of hurt if you bring him back for a 3rd year. Not only do you now have him back for a 3rd year, but that's a year under the belt of somebody else that you're not getting. There's no advantage to Michigan bringing this guy back for another year. Who are they going to go get? I'm pretty sure that after the performance I saw on Saturday and the performance I saw against USC, you're going to be okay going to get somebody else. Get a rising young buck in there, take the growing pains, whatever. Wink Martindale is not the guy. They had no push. They had no pressure up front. I thought the secondary was fine. I thought that the talent on defensive line was underutilized this year in the rotation of players. There were plays this past Saturday where guys were out on the field who made no sense to be on the field at that moment. And that's not a knock on those kids. It's a knock on Wink Martindale. What happened to Ernest Hausman? I don't know. Genuinely, I shouldn't even bring him up. Like, genuinely, I hope that whatever he's going through I hope he finds what he's looking for. I hope, obviously wish the best for him.
Yeah, because there hasn't been like an official thing. He put out something, but no team announcement really.
There's been... I think genuinely, that's a young man who's just walking through some stuff and needs to figure it out. That's fine. That has nothing to do with Wink. I shouldn't have really even made that connection there. But Wink Martindale just does not have a clue. He's talked about, I don't even know who's on the field when I call the plays. We can tell.
Yeah, we don't either. I'm on ESPN looking at the roster
you to tell us that, my guy. Which brings up then, I think, for Michigan, the big question. And again, a lot of this is about coaching because I think you've hit on a lot of the offensive things, and we've talked about Bryce and we've talked about some different things. I think the big question people have been wanting to know is, where do you stand with Sherrone? I think that's a big question.
Yeah.
I think every fan's got to answer that for themselves. Obviously, the message boards are ablaze after a loss. Everybody wants everybody fired. I thought that, and I'll shout him out because I love the blog. MGO blog. Alex Drain wrote a phenomenal recap of the game, and he had a fantastic put words to my feelings closing paragraph this week, where he basically said, and this is a slightly ad-libbed quote from him. He said, at this point in the tenure, I'm not sure that Sherrone isn't the guy, but 2 years in, I'm not sure he's shown me much to say he is. I think that is the perfect place to be right now, because I'm not look around college football right now and tell me off this coaching carousel if it's a good idea to fire your head coach right now. Probably not. There is a line where, well, who are you going to replace him with is irrational. There's a line where it's like, it's time to go.
Give me Brian Kelly to Michigan just so that you
Absolutely
get on
not.
here and weep.
Would never. They would never do it. But so there's this line where you go, there's a point where you go, who are you going to replace him with? And you go, it's time. We are not there. But I'll tell you what, year 3, people have said the honeymoon's over and the grace period's over. 100% agree. You bring out the Dr. Pepper Fansville hot seat. Sherrone Moore sitting on in 2026. And I'll tell you this as well. Michigan's schedule in 26, brutal.
I don't look. Who do you guys have?
Versus Oklahoma. And again,
at home.
You don't know how these teams are going to transfer out, right? John Mateer won't be there. Will Fernando Mendoza be at Indiana? Who knows? But just given where these teams are at in 25, here's who Michigan has in 26. Home against Oklahoma, currently number 8, by the way. Home against Indiana, currently number 2 and undefeated. At Oregon, currently like number 6, I think. And at Ohio State, currently number 1. By the way, Iowa and Penn State are in there too. That is a brutal schedule. It doesn't matter. Figure it out. Because 26 with Bryce Underwood and Andrew Marsh and Jordan Marshall, maybe Justice Haynes.
Justice Haynes.
The guys that you're bringing in, Jamar Browder, fantastic wide receivers still on that team. You better figure it out because I'll tell you what, we don't have the stomach for it. You went 7-5 last year under extenuating circumstances. You went 9-3 this year. I think people would look at 9-3 and say, yeah, that's what I predicted.
With one of the youngest teams.
6 starting freshmen, 3 on the offensive line. The offensive line is going to get better. I predicted 9-3. I thought we'd beat Ohio State this year, but I predicted 9-3. But it's how you got to 9-3 that raises questions. And I'll tell you what, 8-4, 7-5 is not a wild prediction for next year looking at that schedule. But it can't be if you want to retain your job.
100%.
So I'm not out on Sherrone. I'm not out on Chip. But Sherrone's got a year. He's got 1 year. Wink can be left on the tarmac somewhere.
I think that's very fair. Well, let's talk. We'll get to Indiana because only one team's got a game next week between ours.
It's fine. A big Hoosier fan. Always been a big Hoosier fan. But maybe, just maybe, you feel like Pat Fitzgerald in Michigan State. Yeah, I said it. Pat Fitzgerald in Michigan State. You're trying to build like a champion, but you might not know how to execute it. Aaron and the team at Elevated Integrity Construction have a winning pedigree and a team of all-Americans. A juggernaut of the industry, they've built a dynasty with championship builders. If you have a home, church, or business build, go with the folks with integrity in their name at elevatedintegrity.com. Did you like the Pat Fitzgerald reference for this?
I did. That's fresh. Hot off the press. I respect that.
I don't even think they've officially hired him yet. But they're going to because it's Michigan State.
And they don't know how to build a winning program.
Shout out Jonathan Smith on being fired with 1 Big Ten win. Good job, buddy. The Rivalry is a proud member of the Varsity Network powered by Learfield, the must-have app if you call yourself a college football fan, which hopefully you do. Live broadcasts, on-demand podcasts just like this one. Free to download. Find the Varsity Network in the App Store and be sure to search for the Rivalry Podcast. By the way, we mentioned them earlier, the Ohio Sinus Institute, because you deserve better sinus care. Get relief from some of the most experienced sinus specialists in Central Ohio, like Dr. Boris Karanfilov. Surgeon-led, personalized care with over 20 years of experience, minimally invasive, in-office treatments, on-site CT imaging, so you can get better answers at the Ohio Sinus Institute. Once again, also proud to partner with our friends at Homage this year. You'll find the link in the podcast description below on YouTube or wherever you're listening right now at Rival Pod. Since 2007, Homage has been helping fans pay homage to the people, places, teams, and moments that matter most to them. Whether you're an Ohio or Michigan fan, they got stuff for you. Plus, pop culture stuff, and it's just a ton of fantastic gear there. Quality craftsmanship, elite storytelling, and trademarked legendary comfort. You support the podcast and get yourself something nice when you click the link below And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast right now, rate and review, and go to rivalpod.com. You can support the podcast there as well, either by throwing a few dollars our way or by getting your custom Michigan or Ohio State rivalry podcast.
Get some of that Christmas shopping done early. Head over to Homage, go over
is it early at this point, or is it you're kind of down to the wire?
We're recording this on December 1st, so I'm really just helping you out. So
That's
make
fair.
sure when you
That's
do
fair.
that, if you want to buy the sports fan in your life something comfortable for them to rep their team, Homage the way to go.
I want to, before we go to Indiana, I do want to, there are a couple pieces from the Michigan game that are kind of miscellaneous that I feel like people do want to be like, hey, why didn't you talk about this? That I want to make sure we talk about. Two things. During the game and then after the game.
Oh, yeah. I already know what you're going to bring up. I can't believe we didn't talk about this.
The Jeremiah Smith catch.
Yeah.
The touchdown. Do you, in your heart of hearts, believe that that was a touchback?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I do.
No, well, of
100%.
course.
Why don't you think it's a touchback?
I believe strongly he had possession when it initially crossed the goal line. I don't think he had it past that. I think it fumbled a little bit, but I don't think he lost it when he initially gets over the line.
You think he has it when he hits the line and then drops it?
Yes, I think he has it when he hits the line, then starts to lose it. I don't think he ever really lost possession. And the second, by rule, once you cross that goal line, it's dead.
Correct.
I mean, you saw that with
Roman Wilson.
that, and then I was also going to say, was it the Northwestern game where Jordan Marshall leaped over and got punched out and returned? To me, it was the second that he crossed over. It's a dead ball, touchdown Buckeyes.
I would agree with you if he has possession. So this was the Roman Wilson touchdown in 23, right? Where, was it Denzel Burke, right? Was there ripping it away? Where Burke's got his hands on it, but Wilson clearly has possession of it when he hits the goal line. That's why it's not an interception, because that rule exists. For me, the reason I firmly believe it's a touchback is because he is bobbling the ball. The ball is already moving before he hits the goal line. He hits it. He never regains control and he steps out of bounds. And that's where Joel, where Klatt saying on the broadcast, was it Gene Steratore? Mike Pereira? I think it was Steratore. When Gene Steratore is going, yeah, I think they got that wrong. It's a touchback. That's when when he's disagreeing with the officiating, that's when you know that they screwed it up. Fully believe it's a touchback because he doesn't have possession when he hits the goal line, doesn't regain possession until he's out of bounds. It's a touchback. However, any Michigan fan saying, well, that would change the outcome of the game. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
It would have been 20-9. You still lose.
Does it change the flow of the, is there a chance that, Michigan goes down and makes it 13-3? Yeah, sure. But Michigan got dominated in the trenches. That is not the reason Michigan lost this football game. And so I'm not going to stomach excuses about, well, if this bounce had gone our way, I have mocked Ohio State fans for the last 4 years for we had the flu and all that. Don't do that. That game would not have been different. No. Was it the wrong call? I believe it was. Did not make a difference. And it's the same thing, by the way. Well, if Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes had been healthy, could that have changed the game? Sure. But that's very different. And also, they weren't healthy, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If ifs and buts were candy nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right?
I knew you were going to say it.
The after the game thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't believe we missed that.
The after the game thing, I think, is completely overblown by everybody because there's nothing there.
I don't. I think it was a perfect example of they can dish it out but can't take it. And you saw that. I mean, being in the press box, that was all I heard all around me. It was just pure salt, which is what makes this game great. Because if I'm being completely transparent, I've been there. I've been that guy. So I get it. But yeah, I mean.
So if you're, I assume you're familiar, but so Ohio State wins and they're celebrating with their fans down the end zone, and Michigan just kind of waits on the M. They're basically, we're not going to let you plant a flag in our midfield, whatever. Sherrone and Ryan have this kind of awkward exchange where he's like, I'm not going to do that. And Sherrone goes, okay, I gotcha. And it's really awkward. And then Michigan exits the field and Ohio State exits and it's fine.
Well, Ryan Day walked up and said, if we don't want a problem, you need to get these guys off the field. We're not going to plant the flag. I promise that. And then Sherrone went, okay, and then walked over and led people off.
Which from both coaches, is the right move. Get guys out of there.
Respectable.
Yeah, sure. It was awkward, but it's a rivalry and it's awkward and...
Some teams just need to learn how to lose, and Michigan didn't do a great job at it. They can defend the whole alphabet. I don't care if they defend the M.
How did Michigan not do a great job of it, though? How did Michigan not do a great job of did we attack anybody? Did we?
They were ready. If Ohio State would have been not the bigger person in that moment, and would have
not the bigger person in that moment.
Ohio State was over celebrating with their own fan base, making
Correct.
snow
That's
angels,
great.
doing whatever.
That's great.
And then nobody even went over. I think maybe 2 guys, and it was the most notable people that you would expect.
Yeah, it was Igbenos and
Jermaine Matthews
with a flag, and Ryan Day said no, and Michigan is standing on the end and say no.
It wasn't a flag like what Michigan had, where it's got this giant pole. It was like the one that we have back here behind me. If you're watching,
where were they headed?
To go wave it.
Yeah,
but that's 2 people versus the whole team going to planet.
Correct, which is why that wasn't going to happen.
No.
Here's what killed me, though. Here's what killed me, because I like the sentiment, but it's just the whole thing is funny to me. When Ryan Day talks about, we're going to win with humility. It's the right message. And by the way, I felt like Ohio State did that on the field. That was good. Again, you won. Go do the Snow Angels. Go do Brutus making the Ohio thing.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. Can we talk about how S tier that was from a mascot?
Fantastic.
A beautiful thing.
That again, I'm the Michigan. If you're new to the podcast, I'm the Michigan guy here. I've got the flag behind me. That was great. That's what the rivalry should be. I can tell you what, it was ready to hang in my Columbus neighborhood, and I was like, I don't think we're going to do that. But the win with humility thing is a great message. But also, it was delivered almost as a shot of you didn't win with humility last year, and from the sorest losers on the planet last year. I'm not going to listen to a win with humility speech from what happened Ryan Day and Jack Sawyer. I'm not going to listen to that.
Ryan Day didn't really say anything last year. The Jack Sawyer for sure. Now, if Jack Sawyer were to say something like that, 100%.
But the idea of let's end this game with humility after that nonsense last year, I'm just not going to take it. And then you've got your star receiver saluting the crowd and everyone retweet. That's it. The win with humility thing is just trash. I'm not going to stand for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of videos from both sides. You had Andrew Marsh walking through the tunnel, bumping into Ohio State, shoulder checking people.
And then a tight end coach from Ohio State doing the same thing, which is
no. If anybody has eyes and watch that video, Keenan Bailey did not sit there and throw his shoulder in. No,
but again, the bumping stuff the bumping stuff, standing on the M, the script Ohio cross out the M thing. Those are things that I am cool with. I'm cool with that. Michigan, and by the way, if Michigan had gone to the locker room and Ohio State had gone to plant a flag, you won. So be it. It's that is great for the rivalry. You think that it ain't going to happen next year in Columbus? Guarantee it will.
No, Michigan can stand at the 50, guard the whole alphabet, and they can watch Ohio State like they did all game long in the end zone.
This is what makes the rivalry great.
Let's move on to the game that one of our teams will be playing.
You already made this joke, and I ignored you.
The Big Ten championship game, Indiana versus Ohio State.
This is the one you've wanted, dog. This is the one you've wanted,
and I'm not backing down.
I know you are.
Said it.
I know,
and I'll say it again. If Indiana beats us, I'll give them all the credit in the world.
See, I don't believe you.
I fully will.
You said after the Oregon game, the Oregon game, you're like, I'll give them credit if they beat Oregon. Then they beat Oregon. You're like, well, how good is Oregon?
I think that's still fair.
My goodness, I hate this podcast.
This Indiana
so much.
Team, I'll still say is a good team, but in order for me,
they're 12-0.
For me to be on the side of this is an elite championship contending team, they've got to beat the boss.
By the way, I think that sentiment is fair.
You've got to come in and take it from us. And I mean, you can clearly look at Indiana and see they're talented.
Yeah.
I mean, Mendoza, to me, this is between him and Sayin for the Heisman.
Winner gets it.
Winner gets it. I mean,
that's how it should be.
Unless one of them doesn't need to do much and like a Hemby or a Bo Jackson just erupts or whatever and goes off.
All other things being equal, winner should get it.
Winner should get it, 100%. But you look at this offense, I mean, you've got Roman Hemby, you have Kalen Black, who's another guy. I mean, people really look at Hemby and go, well, that's the RB1. Black's got like 760 something yards. Yeah. This is a dual threat at running back. Even at the wide receiver position, you got Omar Cooper Jr. and Elijah Surratt, both lethal at wide receiver. I mean, this is a talented wide receiver room.
If you haven't watched Indiana this year, I mean, Elijah Surratt is going to go top 20. Mm-hmm. Elijah Surratt is a top 20 pick in the draft. I mean, he is that good. Like, it's hard to look at anybody and go, well, they're at the level of Jeremiah Smith, because I really do think he's on a planet by himself.
For sure.
And again, I'm trying to be even in defeat. Like, I'm trying to be objective, and like, if you're a Michigan fan, by the way, like just give credit to Ohio State. Okay. They dominated you. They beat you straight up. Elijah Surratt. Jeremiah Smith is on a planet by himself. Elijah Surratt is a Carnell Tate level player, right? Mm-hmm. Who's going to go, like you said, top 20, top 15. Omar Cooper is not quite there, but he is also very dangerous. Indiana, like Ohio State, has just had very few weaknesses this year. Mm-hmm. You know, they played a couple tight games that maybe Ohio State didn't play. You know, they had a tight game against Penn State that people are going to point to. Is that a concern? I don't know. I mean, everybody except for Ohio State has had a game where they played tight. They had a tight game at Iowa. Iowa's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Iowa.
We ain't kicking field goals there anymore.
Iowa has found an offense at least for 1 year. You know, and so all that to say, Indiana, like Ohio State, has very, very few holes. Is it perfect? No. Okay, so example, right? Ohio State's corners. I think Indiana has a chance to exploit it. And you can look at the Michigan game and go, "How can you say this coming off the game?" Look, I still have no concerns about Davison Igbinosun or Jermaine Matthews.
And not to go back to the Michigan game, but I don't know if I told you this. My game plan: the second Michigan goes up 6-0 and Ohio State gets or you get back on the field, I'm going down there and I'm throwing. I mean, my game plan is now I'm targeting Jermaine Matthews and Igbinosun because you saw, and I tweeted this and got some comments from the president here at the station that thought that I was singling out the defensive backs for Ohio State.
Bill, we appreciate you.
Yeah, we
you
appreciate you.
probably thought it was me tweeting.
He probably did, but you saw it all game long. I mean, Jermaine Matthews a couple of different times getting in trouble, jawing at Michigan players. Yeah. Igbinosun, who we've talked about numerous times for his holding penalties, his pass interferences. I mean, all over the place. Yeah. And the second that momentum was on your side, you knew you had talented guys in McCauley and Marsh.
I wish we had taken, obviously with Marsh especially, I wish we had taken shots because I said last podcast, and you know, I in one sense I kind of have to eat it, but in another sense I don't know if I do. I said one-on-one, I'll take Marsh over Igbinosun 8 out of 10 times. The problem is we didn't really get to see it. Now, you could say that's because Igbinosun covered him so well. Possible. I don't buy that.
Not the whole game.
I buy that it's probably more a Caleb Downs / Bryce Underwood thing, but it will be very interesting to me to see Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt against these cornerbacks because I do think that's a weakness. On the other side, you know, you're curious to see how Indiana holds up against this Ohio State offense. They've had a very good run defense. They ain't seen Carnell Tate yet. They ain't seen Jeremiah Smith yet. What does that look like? So, I mean, and you've got these two great quarterbacks. So yeah, the running game for both these teams, you know, maybe the X factor. These are just good teams. I mean, let's be real. It's not crazy to say that this isn't the last time they meet.
No,
it's not crazy to say that.
No, I think there's some key things to this game as well. We haven't even hit on, like, this was an Indiana team that came in really high last season to Columbus, had no loss on the schedule at the time. Signetti talked a lot of trash leading up to it. I mean, that's just kind of who he is as a guy.
Sure.
But he goes in and Ohio State humbles him a little bit. And you're crazy if you don't think that taste is still in their mouth. I mean, this is a team that feels like they still low-key need to earn some respect, especially from Ohio State. And they know they've got to go out there, and to really be taken seriously, they've got to get this game. And Ohio State has been focused all year, but there's a part of me that worries, okay, they saw this team last year. Granted, it's different, but they saw this team do the same thing and walk in and play them undefeated, and they humbled them.
Yeah.
And part of me hopes that they come out just as focused as they did against Michigan, against all these other teams, because then I feel very confident. But there's a part of me that thinks they might slowly overlook them a little bit, because of what they experienced last year.
I don't even know that it's an overlooking thing, because I will give Ryan Day actually a ton of credit where, you know, I questioned this whole, like, you know, what they've been calling, you know, the evil Ryan Day, like, well, he's relaxed and he's focused and it's one game at a time. I go, well, yeah, when you play UCLA, but what's it look like against Michigan? And he came in like cool and confident, and I'm going, let's see what happens. And to his credit, he remained very focused. And you mentioned this too, and I'll give him a lot of credit. He remained very focused, and I don't think it's crazy to say, and many others have said it, I'll agree, now that he's got this monkey off his back, I mean, he's solidified himself as probably, one of the top 2 coaches in college football right now. I wasn't willing to give him that till he got the job done. He got the job done. And now, so I don't think that it's overlooking, but I do think from a player's perspective, I don't think it's an overlook, but when you come off the emotion of a win like that, it will be a test to see how focused can you be, how geared up can you be to come off that win at Michigan. You finally got the ape off your back, and now you got to turn on and play football 6 days later. I don't think it's an overlook. I think they'll be focused, but I do think that there's an emotional element where you pour so much of yourself into that game. Can you compete afterwards? To be fair, though, I said the same thing after the loss to Michigan last year, where they turned around, at the absolute rock bottom for Ohio State and turned around and played Tennessee so well. So we'll see what that looks like. There's maybe, there's always the chance too that, both of these teams feel perhaps that they have a bye locked up already. They probably do, but you better not count on it.
No.
I feel like it is unlikely that either of these teams drops out of the top 4.
Even with a loss?
One of these teams is going to lose.
With a loss, you think they're dropping? You don't think they're dropping out of the top 4?
If Ohio State lost to Indiana, I don't think they drop out of the top 4. If Indiana lost to Ohio State, I don't think they drop out of the top 4. It would depend on other games, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I would buy like a Texas Tech sliding in there over Ohio State or Indiana, or Alabama beating Georgia would not slide into the top 4.
So what do you think? This game specific, what do you think makes the difference? Who do you got?
I think that, man, this was a coin flip. I mean, it is a coin flip game. I'm going to take Indiana, but not by much, man. And by the way, I toyed with my original. I'll tell you my original pick. I'll tell you what I went with. My original pick was 34-20 Ohio State.
Ooh.
I did not do that because I just think that this Indiana defense might be better than that. I took Indiana, actually same score that I took Michigan this past week, 23-21, because I don't think you're going to score a ton of points on Ohio State. I think Indiana could get to 23. It's obviously a tough climb. I think they could get to 23. I think you could hold Ohio State to 21. I think Indiana's defense is better than Michigan's. Michigan kept them to 27. I don't think it's crazy to say, Indiana holds them to 21. What makes the difference? Razor thin margins, man. I mean, I don't even know that I could say one because I feel like these teams match up so well. You could say Fernando Mendoza. You could also say Julian Sayin. You could say Omar Cooper and Surratt. You could say Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. I just think Indiana gets enough margin, a bounce goes their way, an interception happens, a field goal gets missed. Somewhere along the way, I just think there's that razor thin margin that Indiana can walk it. And again, that's, if you're a Michigan fan, you're cheering for Indiana, right? I mean, you're pulling for the Hoosiers. You don't want Ohio State to have a Big Ten championship. You want to keep them from every goal they could possibly have this year.
And you failed at the first one.
So sometimes you gotta have someone else do your dirty work for you.
For me, the note that I wrote down here is you need to make Fernando beat you, which sounds like an insane statement,
but it's true
to me. If Ohio State is going to lose this game, you've got to have it be on Mendoza having that Heisman caliber game. You got to make him earn it. You can't allow these other guys. You can't allow Hemby, Black, any of those guys to be a one-man show. You need Mendoza to have a Heisman-like performance against an elite defense.
You have to make to make them one-dimensional.
Yeah, right? You've got to force him to play hero ball a little bit.
And by the way, as an aside, call back to the Michigan game, that was one of the most impressive things Ohio State did against Michigan was. You mentioned Bo Jackson. Michigan's only hope in this game was shut down the run completely and then keep things in front of them. I thought they did okay at keeping things in front of them, but Bo Jackson had a great game.
Yeah.
I mean, and you saw it in that, we didn't even mention it specifically, that 12-minute drive.
Crazy.
Ohio State out Michigan. That's Michigan's game plan.
20 plays.
Phenomenal.
Just insane.
Phenomenal. It's hard to beat it. I mean, this is how Michigan's beat Ohio State for 4 years. Is you just lean on them. That's how I expected Michigan to do. What I expected Michigan to do late in the game was lean on them that way. And it didn't happen. Ohio State did it. If you're Indiana, you are going to have to, either way, you can't let Bo Jackson and Roman Hemby also be a factor in this game.
Yeah,
if you want a chance to win. If you got two-dimensional teams, good night.
Yeah, Julian Saint's going to have to outperform Mendoza. Bo Jackson, again, is going to have to step up and have another big game. I think he will. The one thing that we didn't really harp on that much for Ohio State against Michigan was, and we've said it throughout the season, was the red zone effectiveness.
Sure.
This is a game, just like last game, I mean, you can't walk out of the red zone being deep in the territory and walk away with 3. Yeah. You got to get 6. There were 2 times against Michigan. One, Ohio State was at the 1 yard line. Then it ended up being 4th and 6. Another one, they were in at 1st and 11 or 1st and 10 from the 11 and failed to convert, had to kick a field goal. Those can't happen to win this game. If you get that deep, if you're 15 yards in, you got to walk away with points every single. You got to get 6 every single time.
And that's the and again, that kind of goes back. That's a good analysis of the margin that could give Indiana a win here.
100%.
Is I had said going into Michigan, I wondered about red zone execution. It ended up not mattering in the long run, but red zone, it's nice when you hit the bombs, right? And you don't have to worry about it. Yeah. But when you get into the red zone, they did struggle there. And so did it matter? No, at the end of the day, but that is a margin of victory or loss that Indiana could walk there.
I do think that, kind of along the same lines of what you said, this game is going to be close. I obviously have Ohio State winning this, but I don't have it.
I don't think that's crazy.
Originally, I put this as pretty similar to what you had. I think I even had 34-20.
Yeah.
But because
it feels like it could get there.
Yeah. I felt like as much crap as I've given Indiana this season, I do feel like they're the toughest team Ohio State's played, and it's not even close.
Correct. Yeah.
This defense is still elite. This is a really, really good defense. I don't know if I see even a high-powered offense like Ohio State really putting up that many on them. So I toned it down a little. I have it 27-24.
Again, those are all within the realm of possibility. I don't think Indiana's blown them out. I'm not going to say Ohio State couldn't do it.
I think, and maybe this is the craziest thing I've said today, and I've said some stuff.
You have said things.
And I think we even said this last week. Indiana's either going to win a close one or they're going to get the brakes beat off of them.
I agree with that.
I agree with that. Ohio State's going to win by 10 plus. Or they're going to lose a heartbreaker.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just kind of how it feels. And honestly, that's probably my idea for any game Ohio State plays the rest of this year.
And it will be fascinating to see, again, as we're recording this Monday, so we don't know where the college football playoff rankings are even at for this week heading into the game. We have a good idea of what it's going to look like because there's not, outside of A&M, there's not a ton of shakeup. It'll be curious to see where they go to. Be curious to see where Texas goes to. But I feel like the loser of this game is still safely getting a bye. But you want that number 1 seed. You want to be able to go to the Rose Bowl. You want to be able to, to do all those things. You want the better path going forward. We'll see what happens here. Maybe you want to be number 5 and play James Madison. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I so badly want Indiana versus James Madison in the playoffs just for the storyline. James Madison would get annihilated into the core of the sun.
But would they?
Yes.
Many questions.
No.
Which leads us, by the way, to Stupid Genius. We're going to pick the bigger college football championship weekend games. Don't forget that these do start Friday. Please remember that. Stupid Genius Upset Picks of the Week brought to you by our friends at the Ohio Sinus Institute. It's real simple. Have to be a 5.5 point underdog. I am getting crushed by it's what, 36 to 6?
It's 35.5 to 6.5.
So, okay. Does this go into bowl season or does it not?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter, does it?
No, I didn't even pick one because much like Ohio State, I just don't need to do much here and I'll still walk out with a win. So I didn't even pick one.
I guess I'll take Troy over James Madison at plus 22.5 just for kicks.
It still wouldn't matter.
It won't. All right, let's pick these things then. How about North Texas at Tulane on Friday night? This one does matter. And again, this is where not having the CFP rankings yet because it's Monday morning. The winner of this game is likely in the playoff, right?
Yeah.
And again, it depends on where does North Texas get ranked? Where does Tulane get ranked?
Souls.
Where does James Madison go? It really depends on where things shake out probably today versus even next week. North Texas at Tulane. I'm going to take North Texas in this one. I feel like they're clicking here. I know their coach just got hired somewhere else, but I feel like they want to play.
I like North Texas as well. They've got an explosive offense. Don't sleep on the Mean Green. Also, their running back is the exact same name as one of my friends from college, and I just thought that was so funny.
Wow, that's hilarious for everyone else on this podcast except for you.
That's why I picked them. Go Mean Green.
All right, let's talk about some real games here. BYU at Texas Tech. Texas Tech 13.5 point favorites in this one. BYU has to win this game to get in the playoff because they have to get the automatic bid. Texas Tech would get an at-large spot, which gets real dicey for some. If you're Texas, if you're Miami, you better cheer for Texas Tech here.
See, I'm going Texas Tech for two reasons. The first one is because I've seen this film before,
Correct.
and it didn't end well for BYU. The second one's because I played with a very nice gentleman in a video game yesterday that happened to be a Texas Tech fan, and we talked college football for a while, and he gave credit to the Buckeyes. So I want a little bit of joy for him this weekend. Shut out, guy. I don't even know his name. What a saint.
This podcast, man. If you're not here for the vibes, I don't know why you're here. Yeah, I mean,
stats are stats, vibes are vibes.
It's Texas Tech, and I guess I'm cheering for
the random guy I played video games with.
I'm kind of cheering for BYU here because I just want the most chaos possible.
That's fair.
Georgia at Alabama. I mean, not really at Alabama. It's really Georgia at Alabama. That's at Georgia, but at neutral site. Man, I'll tell you what. Alabama's had Georgia's number.
I know.
Alabama's had Georgia's number.
You know who I'm going with. Bama. I don't realistically think. I do genuinely think Georgia gets it done. There's a part of me that just won't let Alabama die.
I'm going to take Alabama as well. And again, this is where I'm torn, where I'm like, I would love Georgia to knock Alabama out of the playoff. But Alabama beating Georgia would just be chaos. You know what, though? It might be more chaotic for Georgia to beat Alabama and knock them out because then it's, who gets that spot? Because Georgia's going either way.
Well, and then you also have the storyline of their head coach.
I'm going to take Georgia. Changing my mind. Taking Georgia. Them beating Alabama would kick Alabama out, which is hilarious, and also opens up the door for the Miami-Notre Dame discussion and all that fun stuff. Yeah. And also Texas then goes, hello, remember us?
Hello.
We talked Indiana, Ohio State. Duke and Virginia.
Yeah, baby.
Duke, if you're not paying attention to the ACC, understandable. Duke is 7-5.
Can we talk for just a split second about how this title game has neither Clemson or Miami in it?
Yep. Or SMU for that matter.
Or Pitt.
It's Virginia.
Yeah.
And 7-5 Duke, which means
Duke's going to win it.
7-8. I mean, they'd be 8-5 at that point. But a regular season 7-5 Duke has a chance to be an auto bid to the college football playoff.
Disgusting behavior.
However, it's not an auto bid because may I remind myself and you, good friends listening, the auto bids, if you will, are for the 5 highest ranked conference champions. It is not a Power 4 auto bid. There is a world, and Josh Pate broke this down really well. There's a Death Star scenario for the ACC where Duke wins this game. And again, maybe Duke will be ranked on Tuesday night. Again, recording Monday morning, don't know.
They won't be.
But they won't be.
Spoiler alert.
There is a world where the North Texas Tulane winner goes to the playoff, ranked, let's say, 23rd or whatever, and James Madison at 24 also goes to the playoff. And the ACC gets no teams. That is a no longer far-fetched scenario here. If Duke wins that game, there's a very real chance the ACC gets no team in the playoff. Miami could back their way in as an at-large. That's not guaranteed. Phenomenal. Just
college football is just the best.
And again, would absolutely, the ACC absolutely deserves 0 teams in this playoff. I'm picking Duke. I don't even care. I am all in for Duke. Will I flip over from Ohio State, Indiana occasionally watch Duke?
You will not.
You best believe I'm going to check in on that. I will check in on that game.
I will Gamecast for sure. I am not switching my television set.
Well, it doesn't make sense for you to do that.
Yeah.
As a week-long Hoosier fan, I wish you nothing but the worst this weekend.
It's fair.
Please subscribe wherever you're listening right now. We are getting so close. We are getting so close to passing the parent channel on subscribers here on the Rivalry. That'd be kind of a cool Christmas gift.
Like 100 away, 100 subs away.
At Rival Pod on YouTube. You don't even have to listen to the podcast anymore. You probably aren't anyway. Go ahead and just subscribe there, rate, review, follow on social media at Rival Pod. We are doing our best to be in Indianapolis. Got to send a couple emails to the Big Ten here and see what strings we can pull. We're trying to get ourselves there. We've been credentialed with Michigan and Ohio State all year. When you say, hi, we're a Michigan Ohio State podcast, can we come? They sometimes say, who are you? Fair enough. Fair enough. I wouldn't let you in the building either.
Yeah, that's fair. They shouldn't.
But be sure to follow. Be sure to subscribe. Enjoy one more full weekend of college football. The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media at RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.